You got a new battery. What?
Tesla's new product. It's already sold out. Tesla released a ton of tequila.
It's on what?
They released Tesla tequila.
Yeah, that sounds like an Elon Musk move. Okay, and I have to apologize to everybody on the live stream because I got a new battery for my computer, which meant I got the ability to finally update my computer, and now I cannot show the background. Whoa. I can't show my desktop right now, and it's frustrating me. So I'm gonna point the camera at the screen, and this is gonna be the worst video broadcast I've done so far, which is pretty awesome because I've had some pretty bad ones. Okay, what we're gonna be discussing today is these are the last 2 weeks of class. Okay, we've had good times, we've had bad times, we cried together, we laughed together, we all sang together.
What did we sing?
I think it's actually you cried.
Oh, sorry, that was the other class. We had class together, that was about it.
We talked about colonoscopy together.
We did. We did play Among Us together too, yeah.
Kidnapping children together.
Yes, we came up with strategies for abduction. You missed a few things, yes. So what we're going to talk about today is what we'll be doing for the last 2 weeks of the semester. And the last more than 2 weeks, because there's also a final. So last 2 weeks and 1 day.
Wait, what are we doing with the final?
Huh?
What do we do for the final? He's getting to that.
You were just way ahead of me today. I mean, I like your inquisitive nature, and I like the fact that you looked up information before class, but...
It's just concerning for you said final.
Well, if you know anything about me, I hate tests. Everyone hates tests. There's nothing good with tests.
So long to grade them?
Huh?
Is that why it's taking you so long to grade them?
Tests?
Oh, I mean quizzes.
Yes.
Yes.
Would everyone hate me here if I said that I actually did enjoy tests?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure people would hate me.
Well, there are some occasions where tests are good, and I tend to be a naturally good test taker. So that is...
Welcome to bragging 101 over here.
Once upon a time, I showed up to test and just took it, nailed it. It's great. All right, here is your project 2. Okay, your project 2 will involve this box. You will be given a 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch cube. You will have to move that cube from this shelf to this shelf, or vice versa. Okay? I will be timing you on how fast it takes you to do that. You cannot touch the cube with your hands. Or else you didn't design something that can move a cube. You didn't design your hands.
Technically, by that logic, we could wear gloves. Then we wouldn't technically be touching with our hands. We'd be touching with the glove.
I mean, if you want to make gloves, the thing is, you can do that. Technically, that does work. But I will give you the constraints in a second. Now, the idea of moving materials is something that is not new. We have movements that go from, you've got cranes, you've got trucks. I mean, we have an entire industry devoted to moving things. On a more small scale level, robotic limbs, anything that involves grasping and releasing objects, really it's a huge industry. I didn't go ahead and name this project building a crane or building a gripping arm because, as we've talked about in the engineering design process, labels do affect things. If I were to say it's a crane, more than likely everybody would come up with a crane-like design. If I said it's a mechanical arm, more than likely everybody would come up with a mechanical arm design.
We have a few mechanical feet in here.
It's just like you separate the big toe. That's so gross.
Have like a sixth toe.
It's just gross. I don't want to touch your feet, man. Ugh. Blech.
My robot.
I don't want to touch your robot feet. Okay?
So they say you can't touch it with your hands, not with your feet.
Yeah, well, you can't touch it with your body. How's that? You cannot come into contact with your clothing, with anything that is touching your skin directly.
Say that.
What if I have a
Unless-
credit card or something?
Use my mind.
You know what?
Technically, if I'm wearing
Okay, so I'm just going to keep going because as much as
One of those little trash bags.
as much as I enjoy technicalities, you can only have one type of material that touches it. Okay? It's going to have to be wood. It's going to have to be either popsicle sticks or wooden dowels. Okay? But anyways, I will get to that in a second. When it comes to relocation, relocation is a multi-step process. It isn't just move something. Okay? Even with semi-trucks, when you move something, you have to load it, you have to unload it. Okay? For this device, you are going to have to position it into the correct place so that you can reach inside of one of these shelves. Okay? You will then have to grasp it. That is your second task. Third, you'll have to remove it and then move it to the top shelf. And then fourth, you will have to release it. Yes.
It says construct a crane system up there.
Yes, I broke my own rule. You can shoot me after class. Okay? It's like a crane system. Okay, I'm sorry. What I'm doing for your engineering design process is I'm giving you the constraints and the functional requirements. Okay, you can call this whatever you like. Crane system, robotic arm. But here's what it has to do. First of all, it has to be small. Okay? I don't want something that is 6 foot by 6 foot and looks like an alligator. All right? As cool as that would be and as great of an art project as that would be with popsicle sticks, we're not doing it that big. Okay?
It's that big, but the claw is small enough to fit inside of that box.
You will fail because it didn't fit inside of a 2x2 box. If you can extend it from 2x2 to whatever, that's fine. But I have to be able to say at some point your entire design fits inside of a 2 foot by 2 foot box. Okay? Other constraints, it has to be rigidly mounted at the base to the table. So somebody said, well, in the last class, well, what happens if I just grab 2 popsicle sticks and just grab it out? And like chopsticks. Like, that's great, but the issue is those popsicle sticks have to somehow be mounted to the table. And as long as there is no mounting to the table, if you want to create a system that just has 2 things, or you pull it out and it just moves, that's fine. That doesn't hurt me at all.
Super glue my left hand to the table and then use chopsticks in my right hand.
It's not a wooden structure that's connected to the table.
You don't know. I don't know if you know it.
I don't think you're made out of wood.
For now.
We're gonna have to go test them against a duck.
A duck?
A duck!
How is that? Figure out if I'm made of wood.
We watched the video! And what else burns like a witch?
Oh, wait, I don't think we watched that in here.
We totally did!
Are you sure?
Yes! It was early on in the semester. We were talking about the scientific method. It's alright.
A clip from Monty Python.
Yes, it's Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail, which they're accusing a woman of being a witch.
Who are you so wise in the ways of science? I didn't think we watched that in this class.
We watched that in this
I
class.
don't remember watching it in this
Totally did. And then I actually watched the full movie a few weeks later. It's pretty
I
great.
watched the whole movie a few weeks ago too. It's on Netflix.
Good stuff.
Are the other ones
Okay.
on Netflix? I haven't looked.
You know what? Let's talk about core stuff. Functional requirements. You have to be able to have some kind of a grasping mechanism. Now that could be a loading mechanism where you scoop it into a holding tray or something. I will consider that to be grasping, but you have to have some way of holding it so that it doesn't fall. Okay? And so it is fully supported by a wooden structure that is rigidly mounted to the table, or could be rigidly held down to the table. Okay?
It's just like set on the table.
Yeah, well, we're not going to glue it to the tables. That would be a bad idea. But the idea is you can hold it to the table and perform it without having to move the base. Okay? It has to have grips, and it has to be controllable. Okay? Now, when I say by has to be controllable, it can't be some mechanism where, like, if you shake the box, it just does it on its own. Like, some people said, well, why not just you put the block on the top and you shake the box a little bit and it goes down the slide. Like, well, there's no control to that. There's no elements of control to that whatsoever.
What if we made the clock that could grab the box,
Well, if
move it so that the block just fell out?
that is a technicality, you can actually flip the box over. Because then it goes from the top shelf to the bottom shelf. Yes.
So we're only allowed to use the popsicle sticks and dowels.
Only allowed to use popsicle sticks, dowel rods, hot glue, brads, wooden utensils,
And whatever other parts you want.
and wooden utensils.
Wooden utensils.
Wood. Has to be wood.
Wood is referring to a turn.
What?
Screws and nails or anything like that.
Screws and nails are
I
okay.
like rubber bands.
You can use rubber bands or springs, but I probably won't be supplying them.
What about engines?
No.
Are we allowed access to the lab?
Just build the mini RC forklift.
I mean, during this class, yes.
See, you don't have to move the object, you just have to move the switch.
Okay. So again, you're going to be working in groups of 3 to come up with a single design and analyzing that design's performance. As a part of that process, you're going to have to complete the following tasks. First of all, I have given you the constraints and the functional requirements. I have given you one measure of quality. And that measure of quality is how fast it takes to move the block from one side to another. I am going to be acting as the standards bearer for that process. The assumption is that I wrote the standard on measuring performance as it relates to block movement. Okay? And so it is my job to fairly measure and make sure that the movement time is measured the same for every group. Okay? The other measures of quality are on you. What other measurements would make a valid design? Okay? All while you're doing this, you're going to need to be coming up with 3 concept drawings. I've already given you the constraints. I've already given you the measures, the functional requirements. You go through the ideation process that we talked about in class, come up with 3 distinctly different ideas. Now your 3 different ideas can just be 3 different graspers on the same reaching mechanism, but it's not a bad idea to explore different types of designs for your 3 concepts. Every person is going to need to hand in 3 concept drawings. I don't care if it's the same as what your group has. If everybody in your group has the hands in the same 3 concept drawings, that's fine. I just need 3 concept drawings from everyone. Okay? And at the end of this, for your final for this class, you will be presenting as a group to everyone. So you are going to need to dress up on that day. You're going to need to look formal, like what we did for our interviews, which FYI, if you didn't do your interviews earlier this year, we'll do them on finals day, after the presentations. We only have like 6 presentations, and we have a block of 3 hours on finals. So we'll do it then. Okay. I have the guidelines for your presentation. I will be showing them to you right after this. These are the things that you're going to be handing in. I will be posting the links to all 5 of those on Canvas for you to hand in as you will.
So these like all kind of individual things?
Well, you will be handing in pretty much the same thing as your group for every one of those 5 things.
Yeah.
So I will get repeats on everything, which is okay. That's the thing that you have of the group assignment is everybody's work is everybody's. Okay. All right. Any questions on what I'm expecting for the project? Yeah.
Are we using a lot of class time then, I'm guessing?
Yes. The next 2 weeks. I do not have anything else scheduled. We will not be having any quizzes. We will not be having any homework assignments. I'm not going to be pulling up things to do in class. I'm going to be giving you the materials next class to start work immediately. And then it's go time. Yeah.
So then no technical reports for this one?
No technical report. We're replacing that with a presentation. Yeah.
So what is the little square cube made of?
Wood.
Wood.
Yes, I don't want you stabbing it though.
How big is this cube?
1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch. It's a 1 inch cube.
How big are those?
You can measure them if you really want. I don't remember. I think it's like 2 inches by 3 inches. Or 2 inch square, I think. It would be a good idea to measure them. Yeah.
So do we just have to be able to get the cube out without like touching it with using the machine, or do we have to like operate the machine from a single point?
You can operate the machine from anywhere. So if that means you have some kind of chopsticks device you use for a gripper, and that's what you grab, and you only operate it from the gripper end of it, that's fine. I don't even care if you accidentally bump this box. I don't want you moving the box as a part of your design, but you have to completely grasp the object without use of anything that's on your body or anything that isn't part of your machine. Okay? Any other questions? Yeah.
Can we use hydraulics? No, it's a serious question. I'm not even joking. Can we use hydraulics?
We'll talk about it. I would want to see your idea because there is a condition of maybe. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about what I'm expecting for your presentation then. And I have not yet posted this one on Canvas, but I will. The idea behind a presentation, unlike a paper, a paper is an infinitely referenceable document that needs to as thoroughly cover every aspect of your design as possible. If we were to be handing in a paper as a part of this project, I would expect it to be very thorough, very detailed, cover all of your design mechanisms, cover everything, okay? I am not requiring you to hand in a paper as a part of this, partly because I don't have the ability to read through your papers, grade them, hand them back to you. I did that this last time, but I will not have the chance to be like, all right, it's finals day. Your paper's due now. I'm gonna sit down and grade them real quick, hand them back to you. I don't see there's any merit in there, and I don't think that that's going to be beneficial to you. All of you are going to have me again next semester. You're continuing on in physics or engineering, and we're going to continue to write papers then, and we'll do it then again too. But for the final, I like just a presentation. It's a little bit more relaxed than coming up with a lengthy paper. Plus, I like making everybody dress up. That's fun to me. The purpose of a presentation is to very succinctly convey a lot of information. Okay? I could hand you all of the class notes every class period and just be like, here, read this. I could do that. But most of us do not communicate best entirely with written word. I know I tend to struggle with focus myself, and reading something for a long time drives me nuts. you skim over things, you miss important content, which is why we give oral and visual lectures, so that you can actually hear what's going on. A presentation is very much the same way. You can just simply hand somebody a paper, but the presentation allows you to drive home a lot more, and it allows for more interaction. A good presentation is something where your audience feels compelled to ask questions. All right? Ooh, I might burn some bridges by saying that. A good class is one where students feel compelled to ask questions. Because that means that, first of all, the information was something that students felt comfortable asking about. But second of all, it means that the relationship that the student has with the professor is one such that the student feels comfortable asking questions. Okay? So, feel free to don't use that on any of your other professors, because I will get in trouble for saying that. But it's true. I stand by it, but I hate saying it.
You don't want to get in trouble for other people using it.
I don't want to get in trouble for speaking the truth and have it being inconvenient for other people, because that's really what it is. A good presentation is one where it compels the audience to ask questions. All right? And not questions of like, what the heck did you just say? Because that was amazingly garbage.
That was a
Hey,
trash can.
kicked you out of class already.
Hey, hang on. Can you repeat that? Because that sounded like a trash can full of flaming garbage.
Right. Okay, so what I'm expecting for grading your presentation. On the last paper, when I said, here's what you need to do for your paper, I listed out the point totals. The point totals directly correlated to what section of your paper I was grading at the time. Okay? For this one, I am going to be looking at your presentation as a whole, taking notes on each one of these areas. And the notes that I take are going to ultimately define how I'm going to grade you. Now, we have not done presentations in this class. And I graded your papers harshly because I gave you the opportunity to edit them and hand them back in. That's the purpose of grading them hard. Okay? I will not be as hard when I grade your presentations. This is a freshman level class.
100% for everybody.
You showed up. You wore clothes. 100. That's a hundy. You wore nice shoes. That's a +5.
Oh my God, you didn't wear Crocs. What's going on?
Yeah.
They wear Crocs, but they have little, they have like the little like sticker things to put on them, the little like buttons.
Like little
They're
bits.
tucked up. Yeah. One that's like a bow tie. So it's
Oh,
fancy.
super fancy. That's definitely a +10. Yeah.
So on there, under title, you said your group member names and titles if appropriate.
Yes.
What do you mean by title?
All right, so let's discuss that piece. So on your front page, the thing about, we haven't discussed it in this class, but oftentimes when you work as a part of a group, everyone performs very unique functions. Again, this is going to be something we cover a little bit more next semester. But everybody performs unique functions and are given titles according to what functions they play in that group. So if you are the design engineer, you write on there, I'm the design engineer, and that is your title. So yeah, I mean, if you want to come up with weird titles for this, I won't downgrade you for stupid titles. But typically that is something that you would put on a first page of a technical presentation like this. Okay. Your next slide should come after the first slide. Brilliant point. But it needs to be the overview. This is effectively the table of contents for your presentation. All right? One thing that is nice about an overview is that it compels the audience to recognize here is the list of topics that we are going to be discussing. Okay? Most people breeze over the table of contents in a paper. That happens.
Well, aren't you gonna find them out when you read it?
Huh?
Aren't you gonna find out the contents when you read it?
Yes. But in technical papers, particularly longer ones that have multiple sections,
That's just for finding information when you go back.
yes, it's for referencing. Which that's the reason why you have it. For really short papers, table of contents are unnecessary. For longer ones, they are necessary. For presentations, overviews are almost entirely necessary. Now, we watched Steve Jobs' video on Friday. Steve Jobs did not have a table of contents. He didn't have an overview slide.
I bet he can't even invent a phone for IT.
What?
I bet he doesn't even know how to invent a phone.
Can't put an overview slide. This is a special kind of presentation that is related to conveying research and development knowledge. It is a technical presentation. It's not a product. It's not a product review presentation or a product disclosure presentation, which is what Steve Jobs was doing, which is why he didn't need an overview. The structure of them are different. The kind of content and audience for both of those are different. The audience that's intended for this type of presentation is scientists and engineers, which is why you have to have this content. You go to grad school, you do a master's thesis defense, you will have to have this kind of content in there, which is why I'm requiring it out of you now, okay? Academic work, scientific engineering work that is presented to scientists and engineers usually have to follow a very rigorous technical guideline, which is what I'm requiring out of you, okay? Your content is gonna be worth 20%. Now that seems a little funny, but the actual content of what you're presenting, this is everything that is outside of your quote-unquote data, okay? This is, what was your design? What was it about? Why did you design it this way? Talking in discussion about what this is. Now I will say, down here, you need to include pictures. Pictures are necessary for a presentation because this is an audio-visual presentation. You don't give a presentation where you stand up there and the most important thing that they see, the most interesting thing they see is letters, okay? Nobody wants that. So you will need to include pictures in your presentation. And I talk a little bit about pictures down when we get to data. Your delivery is worth the same amount as your content. Okay? Because how you deliver a presentation is critical. If you get up here and you present by reading your slide such that me sitting over by Tristan, because we're hanging out because we're besties, I mean, we're besties too, but he's my back room bestie. It's different. If we're hanging out in the back of the room and I have a full great view of your butt, I don't like that. I don't want to see butts in presentations.
Some people like that.
I'm showing you my butt right now.
Not wrong. Not wrong. Some people like that.
Terrible. No, I don't want to see your butt, okay? You need to be facing the room. I walk around the room because I have energy problems. And if I don't walk around the room, I will actually explode. So that's why you guys get to see. If I walk like this, though, it's just weird.
I want to see you physically implode.
Teaching wheel. All right, now we're going to have a conversation.
Perfect.
That would be perfect. Let's do that.
I'll build it up obstacle sticks.
Instead of this truck.
No,
Why not?
because I don't want to ride on a hamster wheel made out of popsicle sticks.
No, I can do it not on a truck.
Okay, dowels are okay. That's acceptable.
I could use like 2x4 and rebar. Make a badass little
Rebar.
Yeah, it's just as long as, you know, we can move it out of here for the next professor because they probably don't need it as much as me.
It's
Take
a
it off its
wheel.
hinges and walk.
It's a wheel. You take it off the stand, roll it, and you carry the stand.
It's got to fit through a door.
It will fit through the door.
Okay, all right. We're good then.
You're gonna be running like a dog on a horse.
Anyways, let's finish this so you actually have some time to get together with your group. You will need to have section titles, okay? Now that could be something where It's an independent slide that pops up between conversation points. It says, now we're talking about the motivation for the design. Now we're talking about the work that went into this design. Now we're talking about performance, okay? If you had a separate slide that has these titles on there, that's okay. Some people will just put them up at the top of the presentation. That's also fine. But you have to have some way of distinguishing, okay, now we're discussing data results. Your section titles have to match what you showed in your overview, okay? That allows the flow to really work. You need to use appropriate language choices. You are talking to a room full of scientists and engineers here, okay? You're not going to be discussing this as if you're a salesman. You are an analyst. You are a designer. And your job is to show your design in a critical view.
So street slang is unacceptable.
Not acceptable for this presentation. You start cursing in the middle of your presentation, you will lose your 5 points.
Essential to the design process.
You gotta go.
5 points total if you start cursing, or is it 5 points per person?
It depends. It depends. If it's bad enough that it takes away from everything else, it starts impacting your delivery grade.
What if my machine only works when cursing? I mean, that's most of engineering, isn't it?
No. No, engineering is not construction. They're different.
Oh,
Like,
all right, it's the
like voice programming, it only activates when
it
it hears your voice cursing.
Okay.
Voice activated.
Anyways, you also will have to show off your data. Your data will consist of a table and will also consist of multiple pictures, okay? That comprises the data. I said earlier you need to have pictures. Pictures are data in a presentation like this, all right? Particularly since a great majority of your presentation isn't just saying what happened. It's not stuff that somebody could read, it's showing them. You can include videos if you really want to, but just make sure that your videos are relevant. Okay? You will need to give a technical presentation. This should be formal. Okay?
Only dressed or only talking forward sentences.
This is very
Technical writing, but through speaking.
What?
Yeah, you have to talk using technical writing.
Yes, you have to talk using technical writing, but it's technical presentation skills. You have to be formal, okay? And then the last point is your presentation has to have clear transitions, has to flow well. It can't be something where, you know, if Ivana and I are presenting, and the device does this. And then Ivana waits a few seconds, it says, and the device does this. Like it's very choppy, it's not natural, it's not engaging. You may want to practice your presentation with your group beforehand to ensure you have good flow. Okay? You're going to be giving this presentation in person at 3 p.m. Monday, November 23rd, 2 weeks from today. Everybody just stand up there. No, I'm not even, you pull out a laptop, you start reading from it.
Give the presentation in the middle.
No, I'll be in the room.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we don't have to kill.
I'm on butt patrol. Nah! You turn around.
Face me. My eyes are here. They do not want to be down there.
Yes, exactly. All right. Any questions on what I'm expecting for your presentation? Okay, get with a group of two other people, and the rest of time from here to the finals is yours. Okay. FYI, if you haven't signed up for Math 335 and you need to, please sign up for the afternoon section.
Are we going to be allowed to stage the cube before we start our
That is a very good question. Are
The-
we allowed to stage the cube?
The cube has to be inside of this structure.
Correct.
I don't care where.
But like, could we say put some, I don't know, some dowels underneath the cube before we go to move the cube?
That's a good question.
So like raising it up, getting it so it's up off the platform. That way, if there's like a bottom portion of whatever we're using to pick it up.
Okay, I'm going to give you an answer, and it's going to be related to that. If you were to create a small forklift pallet, place it underneath the block, and as a part of your design, you move the forklift pallet, that is acceptable.
That could work. All right.
Okay? Because even though you're moving the block, even though there's an assistant piece that is not mounted to your device, as long as the device moving the pallet is on the table, then that's a technicality. Placing rolling dowels underneath it would be the equivalent of a pallet. So I will say yes.
Okay.
What?